My name is Brennan Butcher, and today I'm going to be talking about the national parks. In 1806, a man named John Coulter left the Lewis and Clark expedition and wandered into what is now northwest Wyoming. He came back to civilization with stories of untold beauty in a land that boiled and erupted beneath your feet. His stories were dismissed as a myth and delusion because at the time, nobody believed that places like that existed. It took almost 70 years, but this place eventually became Yellowstone National Park. Today, we take the idea of national parks for granted, but 100 years ago, the idea was very controversial. This was the first time a government had taken pristine lands, rich in natural resources, and declared it off limits to industry and private development. A few great men had the foresight and the perseverance to realize that places like these were disappearing in the industrial society that was forming and needed to be preserved for future generations to enjoy. Among these men was President Theodore Roosevelt, who summed up the idea of the national parks with this line: "Leave it as it is. You cannot improve on it. The ages have been at work upon it, and man can only mar it." Because of the efforts of Roosevelt and other conservationists, the national park system has become something greater than any of them could have imagined. Today we have 59 national parks that cover 84 million acres of the country, and all of it is owned by the people and for the people. Every other summer, my family has a reunion at a different national park. These reunions have been an important part of my life for the past 10 years. It's been an opportunity to bring my family from all over the country together, and being in the parks makes the experience even more memorable. I know that no matter how much time passes, I'll never forget any of the places that I saw or the people that I met in the parks. So far, I've been to 5 national parks: Yosemite, Glacier, Yellowstone, Big Bend, and Rocky Mountain National Park. If you're looking for scenery, Yosemite and Rocky Mountain are the best. If you're looking for wildlife, Yellowstone and Rocky Mountain, or Yellowstone and Big Bend are hard to beat. The best of both worlds, and my personal favorite, is Glacier National Park. I went to Glacier almost 2 summers ago and spent a week in the park hiking almost 75 miles of trail. And while I was there, I realized why the parks are so important. Consider what Texas was like 150 years ago compared to what it is now. The difference in the natural areas is astonishing. It's reasonable to think that in 150 more years, everywhere that isn't protected will be gone and developed. America should be proud of its industrial achievements, but it should also be proud of its natural wonders. Because America is not just skyscrapers and highways. America is places like the Rocky Mountains, the Everglades, and the Redwood Forests. We owe it to future generations of this country to preserve places like these so they can see what this land was before people and as it was intended to be, as nature intended it to be. The national parks have been called America's best idea, and I agree. In fact, I think we should take it even farther. The world today is too large and interconnected to realistically think that drawing boundaries can completely separate a place from the rest of the world. As the parks are now, pollution from Los Angeles still affects the Grand Canyon, large communities form at their borders, and endangered animals are still hunted right on the edges of the parks. Other countries have adopted the idea of the national parks, and some have done better than the United States, by doing things like setting aside migration routes between parks and increasing the size or remoteness of the parks. Advocates of the National Park Service argue that the Park Service is one of the most underfunded government organizations. America's national parks is one of the most valuable and important things that we can leave for people from all over the world to enjoy, and it's something that everybody should see. Thank you.